Shedeur Sanders could turn his speeding tickets into something positive if he listens to Skip Bayless. Shedeur Sanders' name continues to make headlines even when the subject is far from football. The 144th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft was recently fined $269.00 in court costs in penalties after being cited for driving 91 minutes in a 65-minute zone. The infraction resulted in 2 speeding tickets and set off a wave of commentary across sports media. While some critics point to the incident as evidence of recklessness or entitlement, one veteran voice sees something else entirely. Skip Bayless, the longtime sports broadcaster and former Fox Sports host, shared his take on Sanders' situation during a new episode of his YouTube show. For Bayless, the traffic tickets weren't a red flag, but rather a reminder and the urgency a young professional needs to succeed. I was horrified. I got 2 speeding tickets. I put handwritten signs all over my car saying, "Slow down," Bayless said. I couldn't afford to get another. What if I lost my license and I couldn't drive? Horrified. I didn't grow up with money. I couldn't go back to money. And it drove me to win that job downtown at the Miami Herald's sports section, he recalled. Bayless took the opportunity to frame the moment as a possible turning point for the 23-year-old Sanders, urging him to use it as motivation rather than letting it become a distraction. "Shedeur, you got to be driven, man. This is it. This is your shot," Bayless said. While Sanders grew up in the spotlight, Bayless emphasized that privilege doesn't guarantee longevity. What matters now is how Sanders responds to adversity. Bayless knows the feeling. In his early 20s, he was scrambling to launch his career when a setback nearly cost him everything. "This reminded me of my first year out of college. Times were tough. It was hard to get a job. SportsCenter called me 3 days before graduation and said, 'Hey, you can't come back.' They'd already offered me a job. I was an intern the summer before." He said that phone call could have derailed his career, but instead, it sparked a new opportunity. "He told me, 'You're better than this. You don't want to get stuck here.' He saved me." Frank Boggs, great columnist, he added. Boggs ultimately connected Bayless with a position at the Miami Herald, but it wasn't handed to him. Much like Sanders now battling for a role in the NFL, Bayless had to compete. The sports editor at the Miami Herald informed me that he had also hired a kid out of his arch-rival school, he noted. The winner was to receive a slot to come downtown and work at the big paper. Bayless, facing personal and professional pressure, described it as sink or swim. When headlines hit the sports world that Shedeur Sanders, the electric quarterback of the Colorado Buffaloes and son of the legendary Deion Sanders, had racked up several speeding tickets, the news had the bite of scandal. Critics pounced, fans winced, and the spotlight, already intense thanks to his family name and his star power, grew even hotter. But what if, in true primetime fashion, this moment wasn't a stumble, but a setup for a comeback? Not on the field, but off it, enter Skip Bayless. The outspoken sports commentator, never shy with his takes or his advice, did what Skip Bayless does best. He turned controversy into conversation. During an episode of his debate show, Skip looked straight into the camera and said, "Shedeur Sanders could turn this around. He could own it, make it a lesson, make it a movement." At first, it sounded like just another soundbite from a media veteran, but the more you listened, the more it made sense. Skip wasn't just suggesting PR spin, he was pointing towards something deeper. The idea that Shedeur could transform a personal mistake into a public message. Imagine this. Instead of denying, downplaying, or deflecting the issue, Shedeur leans in. At the next press conference, he shows up not with excuses, but with a plan. "Yeah, it was speeding," he says. "It was careless. I've got a lot on my mind, training, school, expectations, but that's not an excuse. If I expect to lead on the field, I have to lead off it too. So here's what I'm doing." And then he lays it out.